we're up and you can't hear. Can you hear? Yeah, you can hear me. Okay, so I want to make sure that we're there. Okay, let me check real quick. Do a check online to make sure we're actually streaming. And then we can start. Give maybe another minute or two for, yep, it looks like we are on. Yep. And we have audio, so I'm good. Let's go ahead and get this meeting started. And let's see, Brian is on and Eric is on. So,
hey.
And Boise is on. Welcome, Boise. And let's see
everybody.
Who else. David. And I think that's everybody. So, hey, welcome to the November meeting. We only have just a very few items on the agenda today. So maybe just get through those and see where we are. But I wanted to welcome everyone and thanks for Brian for coming. I'm going to put him on the spot though right away and see if he's got a secretary's report for last month. I forgot to call you earlier and say, hey, did you have that? But but that's one of our agenda items today.
Yep. No, sorry, I don't really have anything put together. I guess I'm looking at this as being my first official meeting.
Okay.
Eric Cornelis kind of helped me up with getting me access to the Google Drive and some sample meeting minutes from previous meetings to kind of give me a flavor of what you guys are looking for. So,
okay.
So I've been kind of reading through those a little bit and ready to get started.
Okay. Well, maybe you and I can work on, I would like to put some semblance of secretary minutes together for the previous meetings. I know we've got videos out there online. Yep. So I would like to try and get those put together and so we can bring them in front of the club and just get them stowed away. They're useful to have. Bob and I use them on occasion when we're going through like what was decided and what things are going on from a club standpoint if we have a question on a particular point. So it's okay. Good first meeting. Take some notes and we'll talk with you next month on getting things squared away from a secretary perspective.
I look forward to it.
Okay. Well, Eric, that means you're up with the treasurer's report for October, I guess.
Well, I'm hoping we can defer that for next month because I haven't had a chance to pull those numbers together. I don't think last month was particularly anything happening, but yeah, we'll have to wait for those numbers to come out.
Okay. Well, the one item is the fest. So Grant did send me a note telling me that he's had some sort of an IT crisis at his workplace, and so he wasn't sure if he was going to be able to join. However, he did tell me, and Randy's on, so Randy Weaver is on. I know Randy, you and Grant had some discussions around getting things ready on Tandy List for registering for show tables and stuff like that. So, do you have anything you can share with us on that effort?
I wasn't prepared to speak on it, but I can bring up my notes of that meeting and real quick.
Okay. Sorry about putting you on spot. Grant was going to be here, but he had to do this other thing. So
it's cool. We talked about the different table differences. In the past, we've only had one size table. So now we're going to have different tables and with different sizes and different costs. So we'll be incorporating that into the registration.
Okay.
We're gonna set it up to where you can choose your own table, so there won't be any choose your first and your second and your third preference. You'll just pick whatever tables are available. And there'll be a timer placed on the screen, kind of like Ticketmaster. So it'll hold the tables for a set amount of time. for you to complete your registration. And then that way, if there's any people trying to compete for the same tables or whatever, it'll give the person who gets it,
Okay.
their access. I understand we're limiting it to 2 tables for most folks.
Okay.
So the registration will do that. We talked about the dinner, and I understand it's $43, and no matter who gets it, I don't think we're not even going to pay for kids' meals, I guess, for kids under 12 or whatever, 12 and under.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean, I obviously, I think we would love to do it, but it's already very expensive, and so if you had a family of 4 with 2 kids, that's you're for every one of those you're essentially paying almost $100 per
yeah, but
per
I could
meal.
also see somebody with a young kid definitely not wanting to pay $43 for a kid.
I agree,
because they're going to pick at it, and
yep,
they're not going to be eating much.
I agree.
So I don't know. I mean, we talked about, and maybe this is something we talk about as a group, but the whole reason for the dinner was, to get everybody together. I think because everybody was splitting off into their groups and then going off in the past. So maybe, I don't know. I think fewer people are going to do it now, and that reasoning will be thwarted.
Right.
So
anyway, there's nothing preventing. Obviously, I mean they have that whatever it is burger. I can't remember what the name of that restaurant they have in the hotel. Some specialty burger place, but it's still an option to go there and just get a regular meal and kind of eat together like we'd previously done at the Shelby Campbell space in the other venue. And obviously that's that the cost there is strictly around what you get, right? So if you get a kids burger, then it'd be kids burger price and whatnot. I think it was great. And when we started it up in the Lombard facility, it was catered barbecue, and we just sold it at cost, and it was $15, $20 or whatever per person, and kids could eat free. And because you're right, they don't eat much, so you just buy a big mess of barbecue and fixins or whatnot, and there was always plenty of food and whatnot. These catered meals with the venue it's just gotten unmanageable from a cost standpoint. $40 isn't an economical meal in my opinion, just in general. So I'm a little disappointed, but everywhere we looked at, their catered meals were in the $40 to $50 range. So it's not like this is just one venue's being particularly expensive in their catered meal perspective. I think Boise had commented, and we are looking into, there's always an option for us to cultivate a relationship with maybe a university or a college somewhere that doesn't have this hard requirement about so I'm seeing some echo, but anyway, that idea, if we could do something where we could be at a location that doesn't have this stipulation about using their catering capability and the expense that goes along with it, we might be able to bring forth a more economic evening meal option. So it's an unfortunate situation, but it probably would have been that way had we stayed at the other venue as well, because that meal was $26, and when we got the new numbers, it was like $39 or $42 per meal. The new management wasn't going to honor the cool cool thing that we got last year in late 2021, where you could buy down the cost of the venue by buying food, right? None of the other venues would do that, including the Carroll Stream location. And I don't even think that the Holiday Inn would do that now under new management. So that was a sweet deal, and we just don't have it anymore.
Yeah, the Marriott still does that for us for Tandy List or Tandy Assembly for Tandy Assembly. Same thing where you spend the money and it cuts down on your rent. Same
Right.
thing, yeah.
It's a cool option. I wish it was available at other places in the Chicago area, but we weren't able to find another one like that. So that's neat.
Jim, Boise, I think, was going to expand on his thought there that I think that was the echo you heard, was Boise trying to share a thought.
No, I was just agreeing with Jim. Really nothing to add.
Oh, okay. I thought you were trying to add something. Very good.
Okay, so we talked about expanding the administration, obviously, for memberships and some back end features, getting the reports up and running. We also talked about maybe asking in the registration for shirt sizes, or if they would be interested in buying a shirt at the show, or a hoodie or a hat or whatever we have to offer. And that way we could gauge. We don't have to actually have it at the show, but if we can gauge it in the registration, we can see if it makes sense for us to order some stuff like that if we get enough interest, and then we'd also know what sizes to get. Evidently 3X is pretty popular right here.
I heard 3X and up, so.
That's right. So we were talked about putting that in the registration. So,
okay,
if you think that's a good idea,
I think, I do think that we should attempt. There's been a number of people in the past few years that have asked about things like T-shirts, and I know Tony had commented that in years past there'd been like a little gimme that came, like I can't remember what it was. He said one year I think it was a pin and what that had Glenside on it. I don't know if it cost anything or was free, but I know there's been a number of people that asked about things that they could acquire as tangible components beyond just the badge or whatever that they got at the show, about the show. Some people are real keen on T-shirts, and every year, I'll be honest, and it's probably I'll just take the blame for it. I have so many of these T-shirts from past years of going to the various, because I go to 4 or 5 of these a year, and I have T-shirts from a lot of them, and one can only wear so many T-shirts. I love having a T-shirt, but you can only wear so many T-shirts, especially if you work in a white collar job. So anyway, so I try actually to not buy so many T-shirts, or else I just end up with them inundating my closet. So it ends up being the last thing that I was thinking about as we put the 2021 show on, and so it didn't get done. And I think Grant was just busy trying to make sure he put on a good show in 22, and so the T-shirt thing just didn't happen. So I have encouraged him, say, listen, since you've taken up this mantle, and I know there's a lot of people that would really like a cool T-shirt. If you could figure out a way to swing that, then I think that would be a benefit to everybody. The other one is it has, it's a good thing, I think, because people want it, but it also does have a financial benefit in that we do need to recover a bit more, the cost because of the expense of this new venue. And so the T-shirts could be an ideal way for it to be a win-win. People get the tangible item from the T-shirt at the show, and the proceeds from the T-shirt go to help fund the additional expense necessary to put it on. And I think Grant is well on his way to doing it. And so to that end, I think it's cool to ask, as long as, there's probably inevitably going to be somebody that says, I don't want to tell you what my T-shirt size is because I'm actually a 4XL or something, and I don't want people knowing that.
Nobody had a shirt bigger than mine.
Well, there you go.
I was at that moment 6'7" and 350 pounds.
Whew.
That was almost like blue bib overalls, you know.
Right.
Instead of a shirt, just write it on the chest.
Yep.
There's a history.
Oh,
There's a
sorry.
history to our shirts. Frank Davis used to do them years ago, and we saw the prices going up and down, and especially depending on what he could buy a blank shirt for. But somebody again has to champion that cause, and it'll pretty much take up their whole time. But the shirts, a good deal of them came from where my wife worked. So you could jot my name down as an input to find out what you can get shirts for. And then you've got to find an artist. And we had one of those. There was a man who was a graphics artist from the Baptist church. And he did, I'm going to have to say at least 3 different shirts for us. So these are all the things to consider in shirts. Back to you, Jim.
Okay. Well, sorry, Randy, what else? I think it's fine to ask on that. If we get a bunch of blowback, then we'll do something different, but it sounds like it's good a plan as any at this point.
Okay, yeah, and then we talked about some report enhancements. So, and also we talked about the flow for registrations at the door and setting up the kiosks for Tandy List again to have people register who aren't registered, which we haven't been doing the last couple of years. But we want to get back into that. So, but the main goal is to get the vendor registration open as soon as possible, and then everything flows from that.
Okay.
So we're off and running.
Okay. Well, good. So I have one thing I'll share. I have no, I was hoping Grant would be on. Doesn't look like he is. But Grant sent me an email this evening, and my assumption is he wanted me to share it with the group. So I'll go ahead and share this real quick. It's not much, but host participant is disabled sharing. Give me a minute. Gotta love this. Oh, Eric, help.
I don't think I'm the host.
Yeah, I can't share. Can't share at all. I can't share on either one of mine. So I guess I won't show you all what it is. Maybe I can.
I'll see what I can do in the background.
I wonder if I can print it out and put it in front of the camera so you guys can see it. But anyway, he has a shirt design here that he sent me this evening. So yeah, if we can, if sometime during the evening we can share, I'll bring it up and you guys can take a look at it. I think he's soliciting some additional shirt design. So kind of a blanket statement for everybody on the call and everybody that's watching us on YouTube and Facebook. If you've got an idea for a t-shirt design, please see Grant, because he's looking for some options. And I don't know, Salvador, if this is one you made, or he didn't tell me who designed it, but if not, then I'm looking to you to show us another design, since you're the artist in the group.
What does this design look like? Just one word.
It says Close Encounters at the top.
Yeah,
it's got like
mine.
Okay. Well, then there I figured out who authored it. So, so any, obviously we're just working on getting everything set up for the 2023 fest in April. So any questions for Randy or myself on the fest? Yeah.
I've got one that's like everlasting. Randy, give put the inputs into Tandy list. I still have 25 out there, which he will not let me add. And let's just have him put them in. I can't do it.
So Randy,
I've published to test the fix for that, but the problem is I've got a new version of Visual Studio and it upgraded a few things, so it's not it's got some errors that I got to figure out what's going on. It's a compatibility issue with probably like I need to install a new framework or something on the server. So I'm working on it.
Can he send you those 25 and have you put them in?
Sure, but I have to get this going anyway because I need to be able to publish the work I'm doing for the registration. So
Okay.
this will be done really soon.
What will be done? I want to clear that up for me. In other words, go ahead and send you the names. You'll put them in.
Well, if you can wait a few days, you'll have access. But if not, then go ahead and send them and I'll put them in.
Well, I'll wait. I could wait a few days, sure.
Okay.
Hey, Mark.
I was hoping to get it done
Hello.
tonight. I actually published it and then I got those errors, so I wasn't able to get it done tonight.
Yeah, I know we got one.
I wanted to avoid the scorn from Bob, but I guess I did not.
I saw somebody, I don't know if it's in my mailbox. Somebody sent me a note. Maybe it was a messenger, private message. Somebody tried to join themselves, and I'll see if I can look it up. It just now jogged my memory. Somebody couldn't join themselves. They were trying to join Tandy List, and they couldn't join. So it must be another part of this. So I do think we need to get, we need to figure out what's going on and get it taken care of, because it looks like it's impacting people who want to be a part of the club now as well.
Well, I wasn't aware of that one.
Yeah.
And because I don't think the problem is the same. But if that truly is a new problem, then it's probably something separate. So I need to look into that then.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it, and if I can, I'll it's Jason Chakowski sent me a note saying he's having trouble. So it said give it a few hours, the email. I'll send him a note and I'll tell him to reach out to you because he was having trouble.
Okay.
Anyway, that sounds like that's the update for Cocoa Fest.
Hey Jim, this is Grant.
Yeah.
I just joined in. Thanks Randy for filling in for me. I appreciate it. Sorry, we're switching over the whole system to ServiceNow, and it's not been an easy transition. So
okay.
I think you pretty much covered everything I was going to talk about. Did you guys have any questions or concerns? Or
you were able to listen to that, Grant?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was able to listen to it in my ear through YouTube, thankfully.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'd like
we'll be doing more planning here later in the month of November, and then as some of you may know, I'll be going through major surgery on my shoulder in December, so I'll have plenty of time to be working on Cocoa Fest here, because I'll be off work, it looks like, for 4 to 6 months, so for rehabilitation. So, but no, everything seems to be going well. I am working with Jason Timmons on the t-shirts, and hopefully we can get together with him and get some prices and stuff like that to see if that's going to be a doable option for us. But other than that, that's it.
Okay. Bob, you had something? You were mentioning something?
Yeah, I thought I'd jump in there and just modify what me and Randy were talking about there 2 weeks. And if I don't see anything on that particular date, I'll send you the list.
Okay, that's fine. I would actually, since we're getting, I just saw, and we're just about, what is it? Let's see. December, January, February, March, April. So we're a little less than 5 months away from the.
I'll put it in there.
We're about a little less than 5 months away, or around 5 months away from the show. For people who don't necessarily join the meeting here to get the update on Cocoa Fest, I would like, if you could, to maybe put something up on Facebook and the website, maybe every other week or every third week, on kind of where we are, what kind of things are being discussed, maybe show some of these artwork designs that you've got. I haven't been able to share it with everybody, but hopefully we'll fix that. But maybe put that stuff up, and so people can kind of get in the groove on what kind of things are being decided, and also maybe comment on other suggestions or whatnot. It'd be nice to get a little bit more information out around the fest and stuff you're doing behind the scenes leading up to it.
Okay, sure, no problem.
Okay.
And one other thing too, just to let you know, I talked to Randy, and we are, correct me if I'm wrong, Randy, we're looking around the 1st of December for registration to be live, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Grant B, I'm going to switch over to you. You just put out the newsletter. I appreciate getting it out. I know it was a kind of an arduous task to get some of the pieces of it in place, and with some of what's going on, get it out there, but it's out. It's on the website. So why don't you give us an update on that and the one that's coming up?
Sure. I know for everyone who contributed, thank you very much. Salvador puts together the news. I've got your pieces, as well as some of the contributions that I grabbed from the web, and Bob's article, as well as Rick Euland's. Coming up, we have one more, the final article that we have for the Logic Hall coming up on the next issue. Grant, Leedy, if you do have an update, I'm planning to try and have this published right either Thanksgiving or the end of November, so that we can have another update for the show. I could put that in the formal newsletter, as well as there's news that constantly comes through that I think is important enough to document and have for the next issue. This last one sounds like there was, we just had one or two small things that I'll have corrections on. It was an attribution to one of the images. So, other than that, I guess I'm just glad that we have that one out. And I think the process now, I had to steer away from using Scribus. It didn't have inline links for PDFs, and I was going to have to manually add those. So I'm just using a commercial product that you can get from Affinity, Serif Affinity, which is called Publisher. And they kind of are an Adobe non-subscription package that is become really popular. So,
okay. What about the upcoming one?
Well, I would like to have the next Logic Hall article, and I've got, hopefully we'll have an update for the show that we can put a posting on. And I have some other ideas for going forward of like highlighting some of the people who are luminaries in the cocoa world, to like give people a record of like who's here now that's active, as well as like some historical. I, having met many of you at the last Cocoa Fest, I did not realize the kind of impact that each of you had in history with the cocoa. There's plenty of people there. I was just blown away when I came back from the show and I'm looking at my pictures and seeing the talks, and then I'm like, oh, there's the microware guys, or oh, there's somebody who actually did this game. I played that. I love that, all of those kind of things. And I think it's important to kind of reformulate those ideas around the community. As many as people who've been here understand.
Meet your member, meet the luminary. I got it. That sounds cool.
Yeah. And on a separate thing, kind of related to the t-shirt idea, if there was enough interest, I think even it seems like there's enough interest that an independent, somebody there might just come out with their own t-shirts and have them available. I think the issue that we would run into is the sizes and making sure that we have enough available for the kind of demand that you'd have. But I thought of taking those luminary kind of notes and making it kind of a trading card set and publishing them, like maybe every Cocoa Fest, there would be a release of like 5 people or 10 people. It'd be a little collector's card set. And for anyone who wanted to purchase it, it would help fund just the printing of them, but they could just be digital copies that anybody could have, because I think it would be a fun way to highlight the people who are significant.
Cool.
Is that like you take the shirt, you make a what is it you do, John Mark? Poster. Is that what you're suggesting or something else?
No, I was suggesting something like baseball cards, like little collector's cards that would be like you have the card and it would give you kind of this person's interest in cocoa or some of their history or current contributions or past.
Yeah, that's different than I thought. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah. I was just thinking, I mean, you could go in so many different, not that I'm necessarily suggesting this, but you could have like a board game where the luminaries have different strengths. So you could play the different cards.
Right.
You have some sort of like technology board or maybe an electronic game where, like I played a Boise. And so, now everybody has to run their program in OS 9 or something. And so, and so you can't get out of that until you get a Bob Swoger card. Then you have to use Logical.
Well, that kind of reminds me of the like a trivia that you could have based on the history of cocoa.
They do. So not that it's something you can't do at a fest, but Tandy Assembly has a like an all Tandy trivia game they do in the evening, which is there's some pretty difficult questions to ask. I know Boise's been a part of it. Randy helps with the recording of it and the playing of the game. Ian Maverick usually MCs the show, and of course it's all Tandy, so it's not just cocoa stuff. But they do have, like, one of the questions I know at the recent Tandy Assembly was like, what's the name on the badge of the Cocoa 3? And it had to be specific. Like, I mean, how many people remember? Like, I'd have to look at a Cocoa 3 to figure out what the actual wording is on the badge on the front of it. But somebody got it. Somebody remembered what it was. So, kudos to them. But yeah, like, when did a particular machine come on the market, or what's a serial number or not serial number, but a model number of a specific model, and just all kinds of, different trivia questions. So yeah, that's definitely, I mean, I know everybody enjoys it at the show. I think they really get a kick out of learning all the trivial pieces of information and watching the competitors, get up. It's kind of up front, like a game show.
What if you did like a crossword puzzle in the newsletter that had a bunch of fun trivia questions?
I would. That's totally. I'm putting that down because that's something that I can formulate. It's going to take some time to put together. But
there's probably some generators on the online that'll create one for you if you put in the questions and the answers, but that would be neat.
So I do want to kind of make sure that you have time to put your stuff together, and we do a good job of getting you the material when we need to. So when's the deadline for submissions and stuff? Like, I need to send you a new President's Plate, and then I know Eric needs to send a treasurer's report, and Brian needs to get secretary stuff in there and whatnot. When do you want all that stuff done so that you can have this out? I think you're targeting the end of November. You're on mute.
Who are you addressing, Jim?
Grant B. But
sorry about that.
There.
I just want to pull up my calendar. I think if before Thanksgiving. So if we look at the 24th, so that week, the week of Thanksgiving, so sometime between the 20th to the 26th would be great, because then it'll give me time. I've streamlined the layout now where I feel pretty comfortable getting things in place more quickly than I've done. And
so give us a date. Give us a date, man.
Sure. 22nd.
Thanksgiving.
Have everything submitted by the 22nd.
22nd. So end of the day on November 22nd. Get your stuff in, or Grant's not going to do anything with it.
Well, it'll go in the next issue.
That's true. Okay.
Okay. I'd like to say something. I'm sorry, Bob. Just a quick note to Grant B. That I did send you an email, and let me give you the date. I sent it to you on October 27th, and the email actually contains a link to my Google Drive where you can download the article that recaps the Vintage Computer Festival.
Perfect. Thank you. Was that to the newsletter email?
Yes, newsletter.
Great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And I was going to say that date to remember, since all these different groups around the country have their month. I only get one day, and Thanksgiving is my day. I remind you all that I'm the 11th great grandson of William Brewster of the Mayflower. So my family came over on the Mayflower. That's my little day. Back to you, Jim.
Okay. Grant B, anything else?
No, I mean, I just appreciate the kind of community support that I've gotten. The reactions from people have been positive. So any constructive criticism, such as we've had for some legibility and format, I'm open to those ideas. I still have an idea, a vision for where I'd like it to look. So I'll make those into consideration and put out the best that I can.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I'd like to throw in there that once again, here it is his second time out, and he's had another good looking newsletter. And his turnaround time on inputs from his proofreaders has been great. I think he turned it around in a week or less.
Pat yourself on the back, Grant. Pat yourself on the back.
It takes, my wife has said, she said, you put in more than 15 or 20 hours, like I said, about how long I spent. And she's like, oh, it's more than that. Well, if it's 4 times a year or however long it is, but ultimately it's part of the passion of being a part of a community that has, it's a hobby. It's not a job. So.
That's right. Yeah. Try not to make it a job, because we already all have one, right?
Yeah.
The item of, I don't know if it's new business, but an update. I know that I know some folks attended the Glenside picnic here 2 or 3 weeks ago. And so I was wondering if those who attended could give us maybe a little synopsis or a flavor of what all transpired.
Showed up. One person, we were expecting an 8th person, but he said the weather was so nice he was going to.
We can't really hear you.
Yeah, John, can you get closer to your microphone? I mean, we can hear you, but just barely.
Oh, okay. There was an 8th person. 7 people showed up. There was an 8th person who said he was going to come, but when he found out the weather was so nice outside, he decided instead to take his dog for a walk.
Okay.
So we had 7 people. There was Melanie, myself. There was Grant B and his son. There was Eric Canales and his son, and there was Brian Gores. And we started out in the dining pavilion, and we had a good time there talking and eating, and then Brian Gores left, and the rest of us went to the arcade and played arcade games. The younger 2 found all kinds of newer games to play. and I mostly played the older games. Melanie got high score on Dig Dug, and we had a real good time. I think we should do it more often. Maybe go to different places or something. But.
I think John Mark needs to put those words down on paper and slide them over to Grant B.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely.
Yeah, I wanted to have a summary in there. I just didn't want to delay our current issue. So if John Mark did submit some photos for me, so I'll actually have something in the next issue on that. Just to kind of assert some more for what he had said is, it was a really fun time, just coming together. I actually multitasked that weekend. I got the projector to Eric for the club to be able to have as a backup or some use, like a 720p video projector that's got HDMI, and I think there's composite in there, but for sure one of the analog VGA inputs. And got to see my brother-in-law, sorry. So I did a couple things, but it was a lot of fun to get to just see people mid-year.
Cool. Well, I'm glad everybody who came had fun. Obviously a little bit, somewhat challenging for those of us who are not in the Chicago area to come, which is just unfortunate. I would have loved to have stopped by at least for a little while, but it's nice to know that all of you were able to get together and have some face-to-face time together. I know 2 years ago we had kind of an end of the year virtual get together, and I'm thinking I want to maybe try something like that again this year. So maybe I'll think about that. I may propose something in the December meeting, like at the end of the year, maybe before New Year's or something, for folks to get online, and maybe everybody can grab their favorite libation and we'll have a virtual toast or something. But it's nice to have the face-to-face piece. So I would say, John Mark, if I think that's a good thing for the vice president role, to figure out how often we should have those Chicago items, and maybe if we can arrange them in various times. Some of us do find ourselves in Chicago from time to time, even though we're not normally there living. So maybe one of those times will set up. Some like myself can attend, even though we're not in the area.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. Well, I actually am not aware of any old business that was outstanding from last month. And so I will open the floor for new business if we have any. So nobody's sent me any, but if we have any that folks are aware of, let me know.
I'll give something right now.
Okay.
This relates in this manner. Grant B, I sent him two logic calls to use, and he did not use one of them. Instead, he took the third one I sent him and put it in this newsletter, and that's fine. So the next one that you'll want to put out, Grant B, is the one on attributes.
Right.
Okay, so I will clean that up because I have done one more little piece of work on that one. As I continue to work on this stuff, I keep finding things in Logical that need to be updated. One of them was nobody remembered anymore since we started this in 2010, what the poke was for cap lock. The guy who gave it to us couldn't remember anymore, but finally we did find it just this week. And so that's the latest update, is there's a cap lock command in Logical now that makes the machine stay put and not run away. Accidentally, somehow it would come out of cap lock. So you'd tell it to go to a drive, and instead it would break at that line number. That was weird. But we put one more cap lock command in there, and it don't do that no more. So we continue to update. And we do have on the platen right now, next year's, that is issue 4 of the newsletter, will be coming up because Jim Brain here has asked for something else to tell us about Logical, to bring up to update people's minds as to what is going on and how it works and what it does and so on. And so that's what's on the plan right now for number 4. I'm planning a 5th one that'll be for the first of the next volume, which will be one of the games that we wrote that's in Logical called Hunt the Wumpus. And we will write an article on Hunt the Wumpus. Back to you, Jim.
Okay. Any other new business? Okay.
Wow, I was it.
You were well. I have one item. I don't know that it's a full new business item, but so in the past couple months, I've seen a couple folks have asked about the Glenside IDE controller. So the Super IDE is not in production anymore. I know there's a number of those units kind of floating around, but they're not in active production as far as I'm aware. And there's a couple of folks who wondered about Glenside, whether we would consider making a batch of an ID controller, either a reproduction of the original controller. It's a little lengthy from what I remember, or some variation of it. So I don't think I have any formal request right now, but I'd love to hear people's thoughts about whether they see any value in that, or whether folks would be interested in something like that. Obviously, as another fundraiser for the club to manufacture either reproduction or some sort of a newer version of the Glenside ID controller, and then sell it as a function of generating some additional funds for the 2023 fest. I know Brian Goers met me at Tandy Assembly, and he indicated that he had found on an old set of discs, he found the original CAD drawings for the Glenside IDE printed circuit board, but they were in like OrCAD or something, and he was trying to figure out a way to get them modified. And so I said, well, let me know if you need help. So I know Brian's found them, which is cool. It's part of our historical component. I'd love to have a copy of those on the website just so that we have them. But anyway, there may be an opportunity to actually reproduce the exact board that was produced back in the day. So anyway, don't have anything formally to present right now, but I would love to get folks' comments between now and December as to whether anybody's interested in that, and both on the call as well as those that are listening in. And if there's interest, then we may move forward with that just as a fundraising activity.
I would definitely be interested in that. I'd even do a pre-order.
Yeah, I'd be interested. We could also just sell the circuit board, which would be very simple to do.
That's true. We can do that, and we can, we could offer a couple different options. Print circuit board, and then in a kit or an assembled unit. I mean, there's a number of. I haven't really thought it all the way through. It jogged my memory when Brian said that he'd found the original artwork, and I thought, well, that's cool, because I thought that was long gone. So there's the pieces to make this an option if we want to pursue it, I think.
There's a problem with it, though. We seem to have lost the boot disc, and I don't know what to do about that, but it's okay. You make a nice board, want to build it up, make one work, and you don't have a boot disc anymore. You'll have to go someplace else and have a third party make a boot disc for you, and that won't be cheap. where the other one was free for the package. And it's now lost, as I understand it. Check with Brian on that.
Somebody should have a copy of it somewhere.
Haven't been able to find them. I believe it's because the original boot disc did not work. And Chris Hawks spent some time and made a boot disc that did work. And we came up with a new manual because the manual was not as readable as it could be. And the disc, and we were making that available at some of the fests for anybody who'd previously bought an IDE from us before. They now could, for free, get a better manual and a working boot disc. Otherwise, they'd have to go to Boise Petrie, and he'd have to work out what it would take to get the job done. Back to you.
Okay. Well, I will look into that. I figured the first thing would be, if we do have the artwork or something and can reproduce it, probably the first thing is to make a prototype and then, see whether it works within the existing drivers that are out there. And if it does or doesn't, then we'll have to work from there. Obviously, there's no value in putting something together that nobody can use, but
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
When you get a chance, just holler at me. I think I might have a copy of that.
Okay. Sounds good.
I'm a little confused. Wasn't that a program pack? The IDE controller?
It is, but I think it has software to allow it to be used, right? Because the program
that
pack
usually comes on the ROM, but on the pack, I thought.
Well, but not necessarily for OS 9, right?
Right, not for OS 9. I suspect, you'd need I guess you'd need drivers for OS 9, but no, I suppose, but it would work like a regular hard drive in BASIC, I thought. I
think with HTTP DOS or whatever. I'll be honest, I haven't done a lot of research. I just thought of it because, like I said, Brian, there's been a number of folks who'd asked about it, who'd sent private messages, or there's a couple times there's been a posting like, hey, does anybody have a Glenside IDE controller? And then some of them had reached out and said, hey, does Glenside still offer the controller or printed circuit board? And of course, we don't. We haven't for a number of years. But I didn't really think that much about it until Brian said that he'd found the CAD files. And I was thinking, oh, well, now that makes it more tangible, right? That makes it a little bit more in the realm of a possibility as opposed to, we could probably design one, but it'd essentially be a brand new project. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's not like everybody on the call hasn't had 50 million other things to do. So finding time to redesign the Glenside IDE controller has been kind of the bottom of the list.
I think that I've experienced the glory of that. I'm disabled now. I'm 79 years old. I haven't got room for all the Tandy stuff, so it's about gone now. And I simply have a emulator on my lap that's got all the discs I ever owned on that emulator. So there's the other way to go if you're getting old like me. I think John Market just experienced it because he sold his house and moved into a smaller area, and so maybe he'll be hanging onto the Logic Hall longer than most. Back to you.
Notice the boxes behind me.
I saw that. I forgot about that, but now I notice all the boxes. Okay. Any other items to discuss?
Well, Jim, I just wanted to let you know that I have one of those IDE controllers. I'll see if it has a disc with it.
Okay.
When I go look at my collection, so I'll let you know.
Sounds good.
We need a working disc.
Whatever.
Okay. Has to be a working disc.
Even an unworking disc might be helpful in getting a working disc going.
That I'm sure is true. That must be how Hawks be able to come up with finally with a working disc.
Okay. Well, going once on new items, going twice, gone. So I'll try to get everybody out of here within the hour. So if somebody wants to put in a motion for adjourning the meeting, this would be the time.
So be it, Bob Swoger.
Okay, Bob has moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have Terry with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Awesome. Well, there we go.
Well, and Jim, don't forget to upload the latest. And anybody else who wants a copy, remember, Logical is free. All we need is for you to what do you call it? Sign in, so to speak, so that we can set you up with a password to get into Dropbox and download it. It's very easily hooked up.
There you go.
Don't you agree, Jim?
I agree. Well, it's even easier for me because whenever, so I don't know what the deal is, but Dropbox has Bob Swoger's shared directory somehow connected into my Dropbox account. And so like it'll be 2:00 in the morning and I'll see Bob Swoger has updated logicoco.zip. And so I'm like, oh, yep. Bob put a new version of Logical out there. So
yep, I don't
always
too.
do, huh?
I get those too, yeah. So
yeah. I don't always have a chance to do anything with them when they first come out, but you can't get much easier than that because it tells me exactly when he's put an update out there. So that was kind of cool.
Oh, okay. Hey, Bob.
Yes.
Tandy list is fixed now. Ha.
Oh, okay. I will.